like super live. We'll do a little countdown.
Live.
Give it a few seconds before, and nobody's gonna click on the live part in the first 30 seconds. I don't care who you are. Nobody in the first 30 seconds.
Unless you're my girlfriend, then you're like,
yeah, exactly.
So, is he really there?
3, 2, 1. Okay, now we're live.
We're live.
We're live to the world.
Okay.
So, Brian, thank you for coming on, man.
Thank you for inviting me, guys.
Yeah, and it's we'll get just cozy here and have fun, and luckily we get to have the door open today, so it's not going to be super hot box.
Sweltering.
Great.
Yeah, one day I'm going to figure that out. So, DA.
Yes.
Fort Bend County.
Real exciting race we got going on right now in Fort Bend County. I'm the Democratic candidate for District Attorney in Fort Bend County.
So I was thinking what I was going to do is bring like a psychologist and put him over there. So anybody that's running for office, I'm like, let's get a full psychological panel first. Like, why do you, like, what the hell? But I'm thinking DA is not, I mean, you're running, but it's not traditional politics.
Well, I would say it's different. The last time I ran as a judge for judge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a lot different because there's very limited conversations you can have because you can't talk about how you would rule and whatnot. So it's real basic, boring conversation. But when you run for DA, you can say what you feel.
Oh, see, all right.
So, you can take off the filters and speak. You know, so.
And then, so this is just, I'm going to do the really boring crap early on, okay? A lot of people don't know what the DA's responsibilities or roles are. They mix it up with AG a lot. Does that make sense?
I get that all the time.
Those two as people. So what are the roles of county level DA?
Okay. So what the district attorney does basically is the police arrest criminals. Mm-hmm. The district attorney decides which cases will be presented to a grand jury and to a jury. So the district attorney decides who will be prosecuted and who won't be prosecuted.
Okay.
That's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So
you're the prosecutor for state or county?
It's the county.
For the county.
Attorney, yeah, it's kind of an odd situation. Half the salary comes from the state. The other half is supplemented by the county. When we stand up and announce ready, it's for the state of Texas.
Yeah.
So, it's a little bit confusing.
It's more of like your district is the county, but yet you're still for the state.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. Your jurisdiction is Fort Bend County, but you're really a state employee.
Yeah. Because that's a lot of people. Because I did that, and I got, I don't know, a decent number of messages, and they're like, wait, like, what the hell does this mean? There's so many DAs, there's so many of these things, there's so many, like, city level, county level, this level, that level, and I'm like, okay, we'll lay that out first. And
it changes from state to state. Every state has their own little way that they do stuff. So I'm sure it's like, I've heard how some other states do it, and they have, I don't understand. Like,
I get confused.
Go to Louisiana, for example. Mm-hmm. I have no idea how it's the way they do their police stuff, and they don't even call them departments. What do they call them? They call them something else.
It's not departments and precincts, but it's like
something else, like parish. They call them parishes.
Parishes.
Right, and you go to New York, you got boroughs.
Yeah.
And it's so every place is different. It confuses me.
Yeah.
For sure.
Sure. Okay, so I had to ask all the stupid things up front. Okay, I'm curious, right? So everybody that watches this knows. So Jay and I are pretty much libertarian. And that's because just saying when you say independent, you get lumped in with some of the nut jobs that are out there. Mm-hmm. So then we say libertarian, which makes it free for us to jump back and forth whoever we like. Does that make sense?
Pretty much. Yeah.
It's the safe way to say we get to sway.
Choose.
Right. Yeah. So when you say you're running for a Democrat, this is Texas, right?
Right.
So there's sometimes Republicans run as Democrats and the Democrats run as Republicans and all that kind of. So are you a platform Democrat or are you? Does that make sense? What I'm saying? I don't know the best way to say that because in today's age you get pigeonholed.
I would answer that question. If you run as a Republican, especially in Fort Bend County, they want you to sign this pledge that you're going to follow the platform. Fort Bend County Democrats, we don't have a platform or any oath that you have to take.
Okay.
So it's not as rigid as it is with the Fort Bend County Republican Party, but yes, I'm running as a Democrat.
Yeah. Okay. And that's good. It was one of those. I'm like,
what is the makeup in Fort Bend County, Democrats, Republican?
Wow, I'm glad you asked that question because it's changed. Most people think of Fort Bend County, they say, oh, it's a red county. But when you look at the demographics and how it's changed over the last 10 years, I mean, right now the county is almost evenly divided. And so it depends on which poll you look at, but it's either second or third in terms of diversity.
Yeah.
I think Queens is the most diverse county in the United States. But and if you look at the way the votes have been trending, they've been trending Democratic for years.
Yeah.
And so what we're expecting this year is that we'll have a shift in Fort Bend County, and that's largely due to the diversity and the national politics.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah.
And so when we poll, what we're seeing is that the county is going to flip. So how many people, how many offices flip, we don't know.
Yeah.
But there's a strong opinion and there's a strong momentum right now for the Democrats in Fort Bend County.
And I would think, I don't have any data on this, because I kind of looked at the trends, and it was like right around 2008 is really when it started to shift away from being so red, in quotations. And now, I want to say at the last election, did it go blue? It was real. It was either real close or, because I didn't have a lot of time on this one, right? So I was just kind of like looking, and you go through Google, and it's kind of like, it was red, it was blue, it was this, it was that, it was 52, 48, 49, 40. I was like, oh crap, okay, pretty much down the middle, right? But I was thinking that it went. Some seats it did, obviously, as it were, but it were a lot more blue than red this time.
Yeah, it depends on who you ask. I mean, Hillary Clinton carried the county in the last election in 2016. So some people say, the county turned blue.
Yeah.
But what we experienced in 2016 is that Hillary Clinton won by I think it was 14,000 votes. But 4,000 of those votes did not go down ballot. And then the other 10 were obviously crossovers, Republicans voting for Hillary Clinton. So she won, but the down ballot did not have the same fortune. And I was on the down ballot, and I lost by less than 1 point. So,
You're like, come on.
It hurts. How many votes would that be? Like 12? That's close.
It was
a couple thousand.
Yeah, it was out of 262,000 votes cast. So it would have been about 2,400 votes.
Okay.
Oh, so close.
I was a little shy. I was guessing 2,000.
And how many voters don't even look? Just punch that straight ticket
so
vote.
Frustrating.
And that could be the difference.
It's so.
Right? The straight ticket voters. Is there anything dumber than a straight ticket vote? That's another reason we should have tests.
If we could politically choke the hell out of people, that's what I would do. Anybody that just go, I'm like, you didn't even look.
How many assholes did you just vote for? You don't even know.
I don't care what straight anything. I'm just like, come on, man. It's never that clear.
I know.
Never. I don't know.
We're hearing that from the voters too. Is that a lot of them will tell you, hey, look, I never have and never will do straight party. So people, I think, are frustrated with both parties, and so there's much more reluctance to say I'm just going to vote party lines. So
that's a good point. I wonder how much we're going to start seeing that now. A lot less straight ticket voters. Do you think there'll be more, or do you think it'll be less? Because it's like things are super polarized right now.
I think a lot less.
But don't you feel like things are super polarized?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at
I'll take a step back.
Any topic.
If you go outside of super Democrat or super Republican areas, not even the whole cities, but areas, I think you're going to have a decent amount there that are going to go straight ticket. And I think people that are, I'm going to guess on this, around 60 and up are more likely to go straight ticket. I think the new voters this is shocking. My wife's a cheer coach at Bel Air High School.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so there's that. And then I saw that. That's why I said that. I was like, because they had their big pep rally or whatever it was last week, and the whole day was funny.
Big rivals.
But that was hilarious. But I'm finding that the younger kids that are going through, and even when they're talking and teaching, they're kind of like, take that option away. Who's this? Who's that? Who's this? Who's that? Because with these stinking phones, man, it's shocking to me how involved they are in politics right now. Kids, 13, 14, 15 years old, and they're like, wait, what? They're on their phone, and they pull that crap up, and they read about it, and they're like, oh, that's crap. And I'm watching them like, it's cool, but it's a little scary. Yeah. Because, Google, so to speak, doesn't really have it all straight yet. They're getting there, but it's a little mixed.
It's just the way the code breaks down. I mean, they have no control over what pops up, right? With Google and Facebook, there's no algorithm that's setting anything up.
That'll get.
Speaking sarcastically, of course.
No, that'll get all worked out.
But you're right. Yeah. Like my son, he's 15, and he'll like totally bring up politics. Like, hey, this Kavanaugh stuff or this whatever. Can you believe this or can you believe that? He's in tune with what's going on politically. Yeah. It's no, you're 100% right. Kids are way more. I was 15. Yeah. What dad? Who? Okay, whatever you say, Dad. But kids don't do that anymore.
I'll venture out and say, I think it's upset some people. I think politics today mixed with media today, because really it's all one thing nowadays, right? I think all of that is far better than anything that could be manufactured or produced coming out of Hollywood. You can't write some of this stuff, man.
Like let's just take this last 2 weeks, like the Kavanaugh stuff.
It's fun.
Is that not like a TV series? Is that not like a movie of the month?
You can take all this. I don't care whose side you're on. That is entertaining.
Oh yeah, I can't stop watching.
Yeah,
I was checking this morning when I woke up. Is there anything new? Did someone else come out?
Yeah,
some other.
And we don't have to get into the discussion, but do you watch it like that? Like,
yeah,
be careful. Don't say it's entertaining and you're gonna upset some people. But
Yeah, for me as an attorney, you're watching it and you're like, okay, an attorney wrote this statement, and you see the drama and you see the emotion. It's like, okay, that they were instructed to show appropriate emotion. So you, as an attorney, and I'm sure as police officers, you see right through it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just like, yeah.
We talked about that, right?
Yeah, we did.
We talked about that last week. Yeah.
We're just
we're like, look, man, that's.
It's going.
I'm gonna tell you, I've seen real thing and I've seen bullshit.
The only thing, because I really don't want to get into that whole deal. The only thing I want to know is all perimeter. What did Sheila Jackson Lee give the attorney?
That's the question.
Did you see where she slipped them an envelope?
I missed out
you did.
Oh, you missed
super
it?
quick, and then you got to like search through.
Who knows?
The
only problem I have with it could be anything. Like all these people know each other. Number one, all these people know each other. Yeah. Like I think people at home forget that. All these lawyers and all these politicians,
buddy.
They all have known each other for many, many years.
Yeah.
That could be something to do with, have nothing to do with what's going on that day. Could be something she owes him from like tickets to a show.
No, I think this blank envelope full of 6 sheets of paper with nothing on them.
She's not that smart.
Just a prop.
Just a. Get people talking, man. That was
just to troll people.
I thought it was classic.
I guess if the motive was to create, some controversy for attention, then it was effective. If you just put something in there, I don't know. I know people do stunts like that, and I'm not saying she did, but it was perfect if she did.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, I didn't know anything about it.
So weird. It is kind of it's definitely straight out.
It was
straight out of The Godfather.
It was just funny.
Like an envelope full of cash is exactly what it looks like. That's what you imagine in your mind. Like she just paid him off. Which it's Washington, so very likely. It probably is an envelope full of cash. What it's for, who freaking knows? But there was definitely an envelope full of cash.
It was just.
There's no question.
You gotta go look at some point, or we'll show you when we're done. It was just like classic.
And then she did the look around.
Yeah, she did the look around.
Did you see her do the look around?
That's why I think it was all blank paper.
That made it the worst part.
Perfect. It was so perfect.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was all.
Could have been. Yeah. I mean, sometimes that's done in trial work too, just to get people to.
Distraction.
Distraction. Yeah. So, who knows? I mean, it was great for TV, I guess.
I wish it would have been. They need to do a little more in that. They need to do a little more of that.
Well, they've been doing it. Remember
it.
the girl that was she started? Do you think she was? So remember the white power thing with the OK symbol?
Oh, yeah.
And then that girl was sitting there like scratching her arm, and she left it like that. And I think it was on accident. But if it was on purpose, what an amazing troll! Because that thing set the internet on fire for like 3 or 4 days.
I never heard if it was on purpose or not.
Do you remember all that?
I saw it. I was looking for something that looked deliberate, and I was like, okay, maybe
it wasn't enough. Yeah, it was super quick and easy.
But it just sat there for a minute. She's just sitting there like watching.
And it would make sense because where it was sitting on her arm, she could just kind of scratch it. I mean, it would sit like that. If
she did it on purpose, it's not because she's like into white power or something. It was because I'm going to troll some fuckers. And I'm going to make some people look stupid today. That's the only reason she would have done it. Because actually, if you look at the girl's background, it made no sense. Because she's half Hispanic, half Jewish. So the last thing she's going to do is push white power.
Yeah.
But it was funny. Yeah, so you wonder how much people... but that guy from the Coast Guard, remember him? So there was a relief effort going on. I think it was in Carolina, and they were doing, they had a Coast Guard, someone talking from FEMA or something, and there was Coast Guard guys in the background doing whatever they do. And while the guy's talking, giving a public service announcement, he kind of reaches back his head, and he does, one of these numbers. like that. It was real subtle. Yeah, it was like real subtle. But he's trolling.
Yeah.
The guy's not a white power guy. He's trolling. He's having fun because he's in the military. That's what guys in the military do. Is you have fun and you troll people.
Yeah.
Just back then, we didn't have the internet and all that stuff. We just trolled people in person.
Yeah,
so
right there. Yeah.
he's trolling. He's trolling. Well, this dude got like suspended and investigated and all kind like pulled from his duties
Because he's in uniform. You can't play like that in uniform, man.
Still,
I
there's a
respect
little
the troll.
overreaction.
I respect the
There's a
trolling.
little
of it.
overreacted.
You can't play like that in uniform. You know. Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
But the trolling it's out there, man.
So in the campaign for DA, right? And this was me, as I was kind of trying to research a little bit, and it doesn't seem like what I would categorize as a campaign you can have the most fun with. Does that make sense? So I'll say, like, I'll go way back. So one of the first guys I had on was Dan Crenshaw, ex-SEAL, and the whole thing, running for Congress. And that campaign was pretty close. The top three were pretty close. People were dumping some money. And they'll never admit this, but the three of them had a little bit of fun. They could poke and prod and do the things, and they could, and they were playing Facebook. You can't do that in DA, can you?
No, the thing about the congressional races is there's a lot of money poured into those races. There's a lot of people who have a stake in the outcome. District attorney's race, not so much.
Yeah.
People, they struggle. They really don't understand what a district attorney does, and they certainly don't donate to the campaigns. So there's less fanfare. There's less excitement. What I'm told by the professionals I work with is the most determinative characteristic or outcome of a race is qualifications, experience. People elect people who they believe have experience. And so, that just kind of tells you, that's not the case with a lot of congressional races. Is, who puts on the best campaign. Used to be, I thought, who spent the most money, but, recent results tell us that doesn't always work.
The last couple campaigns, that's changing fast.
I think that's the effect of social media. Just
You can reach so many more people for free.
Yeah.
You can spend $30 and hit, if you go local, especially smaller local stuff. Oh man, you spend $20, $30, you're putting it in front of 10,000 people.
Yeah.
You could
Easy.
Exactly.
the cheapest radio spot for 30 seconds, maybe $300-$400.
Right.
You're
Who
just
listens to radio?
Nobody. Yeah, I'm like, no one.
You know what I mean?
Right,
That's
right,
just sports. I'm not listening.
During the last hurricane, forget the radio. That used to be the go-to was the radio, man, because at work, I'm like, Google this, pull this up, and the call, forget poor radio. I feel bad for him, man.
That's crazy.
Podcasts are killing him.
So now I've known Brian through work, right? So because I'm a police officer, and he actually also works. He does the prosecution for our traffic court.
Okay.
And so it's been like 12 years. How long were you there? Have you been there so far?
Man, I think I started there in 2005. I think. If I'm not mistaken, I have to look back. I'm pretty sure it was 2005 or 2006.
Yeah, with Brett Kislick.
Right.
So you gotta tell me your craziest traffic court story, because there's been some weird shit that's happened in there. If you could think of, and I know I'm hitting you on the spot, but there's been some wacky stuff. Think of one that comes to mind. It's got to be a good one.
The most common one is the people who look at the videos and say, "I didn't run that stop sign," and you're like, "Did you just see what I saw?" And you replay it, and it's like
they'll show the officer's video. Yeah. They'll put it up there.
Yeah.
In fact, I think they even show it before they go to trial.
Yes.
They'll say, "Hey, here's the video. You sure you still want to go to trial with it?" And they'll say like, "Yes, right." And then there's a video of them clearly running a stop sign on the officer's camera.
I stopped, and it's like, no. A lot of the antics that you experience is from angry defendants who come into court and they want to, I become the villain. So they want to attack me and attack the police officers, attack the judge, and so it becomes this circus, and we're all in there trying to contain them over traffic tickets. And I try to bring them down. It's like, you understand this is a traffic ticket, okay? You have options here. This is not the end of the world. So that's a lot of times. We get a lot of irate people in there. So, a lot of the things that are probably exciting are just people just being angry and calling you names and screaming and,
But what are you gonna like? Here's the video. I'm just looking at the video, and you're guilty as hell. So,
Yeah.
It didn't glitch.
Guys come in like Perry Mason.
Oh yeah.
They'll be making grandiose statements.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding. And the judge will be like, listen, you can't say that. You're not. This is not your time to talk. They don't care. No, but I'm going to be heard. Like, and it's so funny. Traffic court sometimes is bananas.
Yeah, and we get people like from the Republic of Texas who come in and don't want to recognize the jurisdiction.
Yes.
Yes. So, yeah, we've had quite a few of those.
The sovereign citizens, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's if you don't even know what it's like dealing with them on the side of the road. So once you get them in the courtherhouse,
I've seen the videos.
Yeah, like
man, it's 30 minutes just to get a basic ticket done. It's like you have to work with them because they don't want to give you jack.
Where the hell does that come from? Because I know where it comes from. That's so silly.
I know. It's such a waste of time and energy. It's like, you come here 6 times.
There is the repeat offenders, right? Yeah. That's for sure. That's funny.
That's the repeat offenders meetings they have every week.
I tell you what, he saved my. I love it when he's there. Like if I've had to testify in traffic court for a little while now, but I love it when he's there. Because there's be times someone's just freaking firing all kinds of questions at you, and they're bullshit questions, right? They're out of nowhere. But the jury doesn't know that. So you're trying to say, well, that's not really valid. But but it is. And he'll always move. No, objection. Yeah. And he'll nail it. One time he wasn't there, and I had this girl there on a traffic ticket, and she's trying to hit me with all this stuff on the radar unit, which doesn't matter. Like it's like inconsequential stuff. But the guy who was subbing for Brian that day, just sitting there, like, let her just ask whatever she wants, bring up whatever she wanted to bring up. It's like, I'm looking at the dude like, dude,
please
object.
I know.
Object. She's just destroying this right now. He just sat there the whole time, and she got off. That's the only time I've ever had someone get off of a ticket. Is when he was.
No more sick days for you, man.
Yeah, I was so mad.
Sorry.
I was so mad at you for not being there, man.
Or vacation or whatever it was.
Yeah, I'm competitive too. I don't like to lose. So
it's true. Man. It's true.
Traffic tick, but I go all in.
He does. He does. Anyway, so I'm going to redirect. So, officer, going back to what he said, he'll nail it right back down. I'm like, yes.
That's my favorite thing about law. And I've represented myself a ton of times in court, civil court and all the, stuff like that, which that's a lot more fun because there's antics and you get to play, it's like running for politics when you're in civil courts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's all business stuff, so it's even more fun because then the other side's always hyper emotional.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. I love just poking the bear, babe. I love it.
You love to poke the bear.
I love to poke the bear. But so you've been a judge, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you've been a judge. We're getting off topic. I'm gonna bring it on back.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, sorry. We'll do that.
Hey, look, if you let me, we'll be talking about who knows what. We'll be talking about gummy bears and
what color crayons I used as a 3-year-old and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, whatever.
We'll have fun with it. So you've kind of experienced a range of things in this whole deal. Prosecute. So these are things that interest a lot of the people that watch or listen. More people listen than watch podcast, whatever. But lower, in quotations, lower level crimes. So you keep hearing this a lot, and this is nationwide. So many people are incarcerated for multiple low level possession things with marijuana, or some parents are getting thrown in jail for child support stuff that's really not a lot of money, and then so that creates a stair-step effect all the way down. Anyway, you get the idea. I'm not going to go down the laundry list of things. Is there any kind of, if you care to share a little bit of your opinion about it, but is there anything that DA can do in a role with that as far as accepting or not accepting cases or pushing them forward or making plea deals? Or, I mean, there's just such a wide range of things that prosecutors can do. Are there things, is it a problem? Do you think it's a problem, one? And then kind of what do you think about that?
Yeah, what we're seeing more of, in my opinion, is that you see people who I described as engaged in pro-social behavior, people with good jobs, education, getting caught with marijuana, and as a result losing their jobs or not being able to get promotions because now they have this on their record.
Yeah. So
we're seeing what I describe them as low-level, low-risk offenders being tagged with, even deferred adjudications. Deferred adjudication was invented so it wouldn't have this effect. Right. But employers are looking at it just like it's a conviction. And so the intended effect of a deferred adjudication is not, realistic anymore, because employers are asking you, have you ever been convicted or received a deferred adjudication?
Yeah.
So, as in the legal world, you're not convicted if you received a deferred adjudication, but for employers, it's all the same.
Yeah.
So there's another concept called pretrial diversion, which it is that, look, this is an agreement. You got arrested for this possession of marijuana. We won't proceed with the prosecution if you do these things. And typically is take some classes, do some community service, stay clean, do some random urinalysis. You complete this process, then we dismiss the case, and you can go ahead and get it expunged.
Okay. The
benefit of an expunction is that you can expunge the arrest too. So you basically can walk away from it and move forward with your life under a quote-unquote second chance.
Yeah.
So I think that as a district attorney, you can offer more opportunities to these people who deserve it. I'm not talking about people who commit violent crimes. I'm talking about the low-level offenders, the possession of marijuana, criminal mischief, even possession of paraphernalia and stuff like that, that we would consider low-level. And if you look at the person's criminal history and the other factors that we use to determine risk, we can determine that they don't pose a high risk to society. We should give them a second chance. And that's where the district attorney can come into play. And also, in saving money, you've got a lot of people sitting in jail, can't afford a bond, so they're sitting in the county jail trying to dispose of their cases. If you release these people on personal bonds and offer them a pretrial diversion, you lower the population at the jail, which is decreased costs, and you also move the people through the system in a much faster pace, and you get cases resolved a lot sooner.
See, because that's it. Now, random question, well, not really random, if, let's say there's several hundred cases that come through and they do that pretrial diversion, and those are successful, and all that stuff kind of comes down, does that trickle up to higher levels into more courts as far as a statute, or is that super controlled or hyper controlled locally, at the county level and things? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, will that start to trickle its way up and affect legalization of marijuana, so to speak, or is that something that will become a statewide deal? Or
you mean in terms of a pretrial diversion program?
Yeah, if that winds up being pretty successful, and you say you have a 90% success rate for people that go through this, that they expunge their record, there's no repeat offense, they're good, they didn't have to go to jail, they kept their job, obviously that was a good program that works. Is that something that would go up and say, okay, well, maybe we need to look at this state level, maybe legalizing marijuana, maybe making this a statewide statute or a statewide program? And
that's what we're seeing. We usually see a trend. Nationwide, we certainly see a trend. My prediction is in the next 5 years, you'll see mass legalization of marijuana, probably starting at the federal level. But the pretrial diversion, pretty much every legislature, there's some change to the legislation, and it makes it more lenient and more expansive. So I would anticipate probably, maybe not this session, but the following session, you'll probably have some marijuana-specific legislation, particularly with amounts of 2 ounces or less.
Yeah.
So I see that on the horizon.
You think full legalization, or you think it's going to be something like where Harris County was doing something where you could take a class or something and get
I think that falls kind of under what you were saying.
Yeah.
It's that direction of.
We're talking about full legalization in the next 5 years. Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to come from the federal level or the state level?
I think it's going to start at the federal level and then it's going to come down.
Yeah. What are like as lawyers and then prosecutors and are y'all doing anything to prepare for that? Are y'all expecting it? Is there anything already happening in expectation?
Well, everybody's anticipating it. You're seeing a few of the cases filed, especially in Harris County. Like in Jacinto City, a lot of times what happens is, in Harris County, let me just back up. In Harris County, they have what they call a pre-charge diversion, which is what you were describing. A person gets arrested with marijuana, they don't take them to jail, they don't charge them, they go take some classes, and the case just goes away. So in those instances, no record of arrest. There's a citation.
Okay.
There's no arrest record, and the officers are supposed to take the marijuana, dispose of it at a dispensary or wherever.
So maybe the direction of like defensive driving.
Right, exactly,
Okay.
and that's kind of the program that they have in Harris County right now, with 2 ounces or less. Now, and it's specific. You know, if you got a gun in the car and you got 2 ounces of marijuana, that doesn't apply.
Right.
You know, so if you commit any other offense or you got the marijuana and you're high and you're driving, yeah, you know, you don't get the benefit of that. So, but yeah, that's pretty much where it is.
I got a funny story about that one. So right after Harris County started that, I was on patrol and Mez and I were working, and pulled the guy over, and I think Dory was working too. And so we pulled the guy over, and I'm talking to him. You can smell the weed coming out of the car. And so my little spiel is like, I can smell it, so I'm gonna search the car. Right, like that's gonna happen right now. So either you can just hand it to me, save us all a bunch of effort, and then we'll discuss it. Like if it's not too much, we'll see. Maybe we can work something out as far as what we do with marijuana, and do you go to jail tonight, or you get a warning, and we just dispose of it, which we have the discretion to do. And the guy goes, okay, and he opens up his arm, whatever, his center console, pulls out this huge freaking jar, man. It was like just loaded with like hydro marijuana. I mean, it was like good stuff. Like, guy had spent some money on it or grew it himself. I don't know. And I was like, whoa. So I took it out. And I said, man, you step out of the car. And he steps out. And as I'm cuffing, he says, hey, I thought you said if I. And then I said, yeah. He goes, and I thought if the first offense, like, I don't even have to go to jail. I go, this isn't Harris County, bro. I'm sorry, man. Harris County's about 15 feet that way. You are on the wrong side of the county line right now.
Oh, just a little bit too far.
Yeah, you were right, because we're right on that border. And it was right after that started up. And man, he just couldn't believe it. He's like, but the news said. We've heard that a couple times too. Well, the news has said you're not in Harris County, my friend.
Yeah.
So, you can't have pounds.
He didn't have like a pound,
no,
but
I'm just kidding,
he had
a lot more than 2 ounces.
Yeah, he had more than 2 ounces. It was a lot. I just remember I saw that thing, and Mez saw it too. His eyes were like, bro. I mean, you were going one way or another, but yeah, that's more than what you said. Because he was like, I just got a little bit. Okay, well, let's just see it.
Yeah,
everything's relative.
Yeah.
For him, it was just a little bit. Maybe that's right. Everything's relative.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, you should see what I got back at the house. This is nothing. This is just a little bit.
Yeah, it's just for today.
Please stop talking. What do you think? Come on, man. Just let me take
it's
you
funny,
in.
man. But yeah, I think it's interesting to see how things change in law enforcement and the justice system when full legalization does come. And I've been saying for a while too. I think 5 years is about right. That's kind of what it looks like to me as well.
Yeah,
I just don't know what the form it's going to take.
Yeah, I think it'll be gradual, and it should be. One of the things I hope is that they will have, just like with cigarettes, some of the side effects of marijuana use, which is not discussed. It's like, okay, if we're going to legalize it, we need to tell them the side effects, dealing with attention span and different stuff like that. So, look, smoke at your own risk. A lot of people think is not as harmful as alcohol. I don't know. But I think there should be a discussion that you are inhaling a substance that may have an adverse effect on your mental state.
Yeah.
Permanently,
And it could.
Yeah.
I'm the big science guy on everything. So it's there is a lot of science that shows there's a lot of very beneficial things that it can do. And then I always tell everybody, I cover this, and I'm like, anytime you breathe something that's on fire, there's a potential for some bad shit to happen. I mean, just being honest, right? I mean, that's
right.
And it doesn't mean it's going to be better or worse than a cigar or a pipe or any level of tobacco or traditional cigarettes or anything like this. It may not be that bad. We don't have a lot of studies on marijuana because it's a Schedule I drug, which I think that's the first step you need to do is take it off. That's silly, but so you can't test on it. You can't do anything. So the science on it is either pre-1968-ish or in the last year. Okay, so we have no science on it. I mean, let's be real. Like, we have no long-term science on it because I'm not trusting anything pre-1970.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm just not. I'm like, sorry. It's
well, it seems like the science goes one way or the other. It's either the mother screaming that her son's addicted to marijuana and you're committing some horrendous crime because he's convicted, which is obviously ridiculous. And then you have the opposite side which is that weed cures everything.
Yeah.
It's just like we don't have the truth because the truth somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't think there's addiction issues. I don't think anything has ever shown an actual physical addiction issue with marijuana, and I think there's positive benefits to people physically, like dealing with the elements or whatever, even stress.
Yeah.
Right. Even something as simple as stress, PTSD, those issues. But we don't know. Like, is there so few studies have been done, so we don't know yet what the positive and what the best way to use it is.
Yeah, most of it's on an epidemiology level. It's like, hey, did you smoke some? You were stressed before. You're stressed now? Okay. Smoked whatever, a tenth of an ounce. So, okay, here's the science.
Yeah,
we asked 1,000 people, and they all feel less stressed after they smoke it.
Well,
so
no kidding.
We're good.
Yeah.
All right. He just slept 8 hours too. Like, are we going to say sleeping 8 hours is the cure for PTSD now?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, it gets silly, and that's really the level of research we have on that. So
it's interesting. It's interesting to see how it's going to change. And then you may be DA when that's happening, so you're going to have a lot of work to do to dealing with how everything is decriminalized and
people come in. It's no longer illegal.
Oh yeah. So what happens with past cases? Do you think past cases will start getting dismissed and thrown out?
I think we got to go back.
Don't you think so?
You got to look at them. I'm not saying go back and everybody gets a wash, but
there was a time period in Harris County when that new policy was implemented where you had pending cases. Now you have a new policy, and so I think you'll have that overlap period where you have people on probation and whatnot, and the law changes. It's like, is it fair to keep them on probation when it's now?
Well, what about past convictions? I know it was against the law when it happened, but will people have the option of applying to have past convictions expunged because the law has been changed? Because honestly, to me, I know that they broke the law, and depending on circumstances, right? But if it's just some guy got caught with a gram, because we've seen that, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot less with the count. I think district attorneys' offices they're not really taking those seriously anymore. It doesn't seem. I mean, I don't think that's breaking news here, but in the past that was taken seriously, and people were convicted and had convictions on the records for something as little as a gram.
Mandatory
of
minimum.
weed. In my career, that was normal.
Yeah.
I mean, is it fair to keep those guys with conviction on the records?
Yeah, fairness is a difficult concept sometimes because the law is what it is, and so. At the time, it was illegal. So at the time, you committed a crime. And, now we changed the law. So, I mean, you're looking at it from a fairness point, due process point, perspective. Yeah, we followed the law, but then you look at fairness in terms of outcome and result. Here you are tagged with a conviction, and this guy's doing it every day, and, no tag. Yeah. So we would have to come up with a process to where they could have it expunged, and that's probably going to enter the discussion after it's legalized.
Right, right.
So
I think the biggest one is once they take it off of a Schedule I drug on the federal level, from a legal standpoint, before it's legalized. I think that's a bigger step than it being legal.
That would be like the first step.
Because then you're kind of like, I just got convicted because I had a gram, a year ago. Does it make sense? It's not even a Schedule I drug. When they take it off, they're going to have statements like it never should have been a Schedule I, and you're going to have all that kind of stuff. So then when you're at the federal level, you're saying it never should have been there, and it was, and I have a conviction because of it. A lot of attorneys are going to, especially if you have any money, a lot of attorneys are going to be like, okay, appeal. Go in. You're going to get that overturned. They'll jump on that. In the law world, they're on it.
You just see, honestly, to me, it seems like the right thing to do. Like, I think if we're becoming more enlightened as a society in our country, because I feel like we are. In a lot of ways, we're becoming more enlightened. Hey, recognize if we're legalizing something, that means it should not have been illegal before. That means we made a mistake when we created that law. Yeah. So I think we need to rectify that. Like, I don't think it's fair to go, well, you knew it was illegal at the time. I mean, that's a cold, easy way to be in that way. And it also takes a lot of work and a load off the government of having to deal with it. But if we want to be enlightened and we're going to say this is legal, this is not wrong anymore.
Right. And I think Brian hit a point on how we're dealing with it now is if you got busted with under 2 ounces before, but it was with an unregistered, unlicensed firearm, and
that's
it
was your felony charge right there.
That's
like, a whole nother charge.
Right. Saying like they're not going to go back and say, okay, well, we're going to deal with the marijuana part, but you still have they're not going to. I think those they won't play with, so it's still going to be circumstantial. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to change, man.
It's interesting to see how it's coming about. It's interesting times.
Exciting, you know. You know, it reminds me of the stories I heard about Prohibition and the moonshine runners.
Yeah. It's true.
Okay, all right.
Now we're living it.
I know it's the modern way of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they call a lot of people call it prohibition.
Yeah.
Versus, and I think that's a reference to those times.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah.
When alcohol is prohibited, it was prohibition.
Yeah.
So.
They say that on all the stuff, and that's Joe Rogan's biggest term now.
Is he
We're
saying
doing the
prohibition?
prohibition on all these drugs and all the with the psilocybin and all and everything.
Psilocybin, it's another interesting topic.
Well, that's a whole
but that's
a whole nother beast.
That's
a science discussion over legality discussion right now.
Yeah. Anyway, this is cool. So, So you're running against? Are you still in the primary part? Are you? You're now the Democratic candidate for Fort Bend County. You know how exciting? So like, I've known Brian a long time. It's very exciting to me, like to see Brian like moving up. So remember when he ran for judge?
Right.
And God, I was so close. And now you're running for Fort Bend. And with you, if you get up there, that like more directly affects me, right? Because we work with the DA, especially now in my new position. We work with the DA's offices. I'm on the phone with them all the time.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty neat. It's exciting to watch someone you've known for a long time progressing up. It's very exciting.
I can say the same about you because you had a promotion.
Thank you.
So, I mean, we would obviously, in your role as detective, I'll see you a lot.
Yeah.
So it'd be great. I mean, we'll have more cases together.
Yeah.
Just traffic tickets.
Yeah. So we won't be traffic law anymore.
No
more traffic. It'll be different shenanigans. But so like you're running against this. I don't even want to say his name. I don't even know who he is, honestly. But so you're running against the incumbent, or is it a new candidate?
I'll use the name. John Healy is the incumbent.
Okay.
He decided to retire, so he's not on the ballot. Clifford Bostic is on the ballot as my Republican opponent. He retired from the 400 District Court in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
So he came out of retirement to run for this position. But he was a judge, I think it was from 2010 or somewhere around about, no, it was before that. But nevertheless, he retired midterm in 2014.
Okay.
I forget the exact date that he started, but more or less about 10 years
Mm-hmm.
he was there.
And so what's it look like right now? Like how's the race look?
If you look at the polling, I'm 8 points ahead.
Yeah.
That's on the Democratic side and the Republican side. So, I mean, with polls, you never quite know for sure. But I can tell you with polling in Fort Bend County, normally it's completely the opposite way. You're polling 10, 20 points behind. So, the polling tells us.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's changed. It's not what it used to be.
Listen, what I heard is, and you don't have to comment on this, is that his opponent is an old, retired, out-of-touch guy. And Brian is young. He's the up-and-coming wave. And it's exciting.
Well, he's never handled a criminal case before. I mean, he presided over criminal cases, but,
it's different.
It's a different world. Mm-hmm. You know that. Dealing with witnesses, preparing statements, it's a different world.
For sure.
It's very different.
Yeah.
And then, so this is something that rubs me the wrong way at any level, in politics, but anyway. So somebody that exits midterm and then wants to run again later. It gives a trust issue for me.
Like why? Well, do we know the issues why he exited midterm, or?
You would have to speculate, but I think some of it had to do with health. I mean, if you read some of the headlines, is that I think he may have had some health problems at the time. But the guy has been wealthy for a long time, and so I'm guessing at that stage in his life, it's like, I mean, his announcement, I went to his retirement, he just said that he felt like, he had done his work and that it was time for him to move on. Yeah. That's what he said. So.
And most of that, because I did a real quick look, and it was all personal reasons, was really, there was speculation on health.
That's what everybody always says is personal reasons.
And I'm like,
I'm stepping down for personal reasons.
What?
I don't want to.
And I'm not. That's
exactly
what I'm saying. So I'm
it's
like,
code for.
He's not here,
business.
right? He's not here, so I don't want to slam him. But it's just for me, throughout my adult life, I've been around a lot of. I was, military forever and the whole thing, and I've been around a lot of appointments and a lot of elected positions and popular things within the military. For you get to be this lead of this and committees and the whole shebang. And for me, I'm going to just group it all together. Every time somebody has left early from their post or their position or their appointment and tried to do something later, it never works out right.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he would quit or leave early again and anything like that, but there's always just something. I'm like, maybe they weren't 100% in. Maybe there's just always something for me. This is my own personal opinion. It just never works out properly. Never.
So when you decided to run for district attorney, and you had to run through the Democratic, I'm not even sure how that works. Is it several candidates in the Democratic side that run through, and then y'all fight it out?
Depends.
Y'all have like a death match? Is there a cage match
It's a
involved?
little kumite, yes.
Yeah.
Get some kumite action going, round robin action. Who last man standing? Because
Yeah.
I would have been. I could have hosted.
Yeah.
We could have hosted at our academy. I would have been down for that. I'd have cornered you though.
Yeah, I mean, we had a primary, but I was unopposed.
Yeah.
Fort Bend County Democratic Party is still young and burgeoning, so we didn't have a lot of contested primaries, but the process was there. Now, Clifford Bosick did have a contested primary with Sean McDonald, and that's where a lot of his opinions were expressed, and so that's how we have a record of what he thinks. But I didn't have to slug it out with anyone in the primary.
That's good. So you're nice and fresh. It's like having a first round bye.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is.
And so, like, what are some differences on positions? Like, do y'all get into that with the? Because it seems like with the district attorney, you were talking about that. It's like the district attorney. Your job, of course, is you're overseeing prosecutions and kind of enforcement of law in the county. So what do y'all get into as far as difference of it? Do y'all talk about national politics or do y'all just stick with local?
Well, I've had a couple of times to be on panels where we were both asked questions about policy. Where we differ, he does not believe in pretrial diversion as he expressed. He didn't give a clear position on marijuana. Those are the biggest points that I can discern. One of the things he did say in the primary with Sean was that Sean McDonald had done criminal defense work, and so he made the mistake is that I never did any criminal defense work because I couldn't stomach representing criminals. Which, to me, I get it. I understand what he's saying, but to become district attorney, you're still going to have to handle cases that you don't want to.
Oh, yeah.
And so you can't be so sensitive to say that, I can't do my job, because just like as a criminal defense lawyer, you have to represent people you don't like. But you have to follow the law and make sure that the law is applied properly and their rights are protected. You do the same thing as a prosecutor.
Oh, yeah.
So, every victim is not a victim, Sometimes you have hardened criminals who get shot and you have to prosecute the person that shot him, and you just have to be a grown-up, I think, and do your job. And to me, that didn't sit well with me or a lot of other people, but I get his point. I mean, it is difficult to represent sex offenders. It is difficult to represent people who are guilty.
Yeah.
But that's part of maturity and respecting the law and doing your job and putting your personal opinions aside. And I think that's very important for a district attorney, is not to be guided by a personal opinion, but be guided by the law and doing what's right under the circumstances. Because, like I said, you're looking at equities in every situation. Sometimes you may think that a killing is justified, but was it against the law? You got to let the jury decide that.
That's where I like people that were prior prosecutors, even defense attorneys, just an attorney who has a lot of trial experience being DA, because you have to learn in law, to not take things personally. It's not your emotions. What does the book say?
Right.
The book says this, and that's what we've got to go with. And you've got wiggle room in all of those things. You've got some wiggle room and the diversions and things like that, all that kind of stuff. You've got some things you can do in there, but I don't want to squash being a judge. That's tough, and you see a lot. That's a tough position to be in. I sit in courtrooms, or I have for many years. I sat in courtrooms just because it's interesting. That's tough, man. They got to make some crazy decisions at times, and but you're not embedded into it. You're watching the show. You're not in the process. And for me, a DA position, you got to be in the process. God have been in the process.
Seems like it'd be really valuable to know every step of the way.
Yeah.
And to have experience at every level. Like, it's almost any job. If you have experience at every level moving up, then when you get there, you just have such a better understanding of how things work and how to go forward and apply whatever you're doing. Because you know what that guy's supposed to be doing. So you know if he's not doing it right. Versus if you've never done that, you don't know. You got to go ask somebody, well, what's wrong with this? I don't understand.
And how many, because I'm not super familiar with Fort Bend, how many people below you do you delegate it to? How many other, like, associate DAs or assistant DAs?
Yeah, assistant DAs. I believe the number is 78. I have to look back at the list.
It's a bunch.
Yes, it's a bunch. It's quite a few. And that's the other thing I was going to say is that how do you supervise assistant district attorneys, prosecutors, when you're not familiar with what they're doing or know or an expert at what they're doing? I mean, I was talking to another officer today, and he was talking about a lateral hire that they'd done in his department, and he hired somebody in to be sergeant who didn't know what he was doing, and nobody respected him.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's kind of the same thing with prosecutors. Okay, you're going to come in, you've never done this before, and you're going to tell me how to do it? You know, so I think that plays a role. Yeah, you know, you need to know what you're doing if you're going to supervise these people. Yeah. It just doesn't go well, you know, so.
You beat me to it. That's exactly where I was going with that.
So.
I'm
sorry.
Yeah. No, it's better you said it than me, because it's like clearly we know what's going on here. Yeah. And you know that from stories you've heard about sergeants that may not be the best.
Yeah.
It's hard to respect them.
Look, man, it's
like
true.
that?
No, but he's right. He's 100% true, and I think it holds true for a lot of different career fields. Anytime you get a manager or a supervisor or a head of the company or whatever, and they don't understand the jobs that are being done below them, but they're telling them what to do. Like, if you're doing that job, and you know how to do your job, and everybody makes mistakes in their jobs, whatever. And then this guy's telling you to do something that you know is impractical or doesn't work. Right. But how do you explain that to him if he doesn't even understand what you really do?
Most important thing in leadership to me, take all this stuff, because if you're going to be looked at to be a leader, you've already met a bunch of these. For me, the most important thing is to know where to plant your expectations. If you don't know where to put those expectations, and when I say plant, because expectations are a seed. Because day one, you're kind of like, okay, here, there. Because when they grow, you've built your system. Now, anybody that comes in through that, your 70 to 80, assistant DAs, they're going to know what path to follow now because you planted those expectations properly. And if you don't know that, the hell you?
And the other thing about Fort Bend County, it's got to be one of the fastest growing counties. In the country, and so it's only going to be getting bigger. Yeah. It's only going to be getting bigger. The job.
What is Sugar Land the biggest city?
In the population wise,
or population density wise.
But you got Fulshear growing. You got, I mean, everything's just exploding.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Probably in area, it's probably not the largest, but in population right now. But like you said, you go out there to Fulshear, every time you drive out there, it looks different.
Man, all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole stretch coming all the way through Fort Bend, it's just like.
Yeah, it's constantly. Every time you drive further out, it's just you're seeing everything build up. So Fort Bend County's growing fast.
Oh, yeah. When I started working in Fort Bend County as assistant DA, 59 was 2 lanes on each side. I used to pass feral hogs and foxes and all kind of wild animals on the way to work, and I enjoyed it. I was like, I'm going down the country road to work, and those times have changed. That road, it was called Ransom Road, now it's Williams Way, and they kind of
it's so funny. We were talking about this the other day. We went to lunch with a jiu-jitsu friend of mine, and he's actually an attorney as well, does civil cases, and he's a big time attorney, whatever. But that's another story. But we were talking about, he's been around a long time, so you actually probably know him. But we were talking about Williams Way. And we were talking about how back in the day, it was a country road. And we were laughing because at night, if we'd arrest somebody at night, there's old stories from back in the day, Yeah. Anyway, suspects, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Where suspects would disappear. And then we're talking 40, 50 years ago, right? So you're people still hear these stories, especially some of these people you arrest. They're not coming from the most educated background, so they just heard stories, and now they're arrested, and they're in the back of your patrol car, and you're going down at midnight or 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning down Williams Way or Ransom Road. I think it was Ransom Road back then too. And there's no lights. There was like no lights. Yeah. There was nothing. There was literally nothing. It was just a straight road to the jail, but it was dark for a good, was it like 4-minute drive, 5-minute drive. You start hearing suspects. Hey, sir, where are we going? Boss, where are we going? Where are we going? Sir, look, where are we going?
They're panicking.
Man, they got nervous, dude. Oh. That road, but now you see it. I mean, it's just complete residential schools. They've got nice shopping center opened up, and it's just all the way out to Richmond, Rosenberg area. It's changed so much.
Yeah, they have lights on that road now.
Yeah, they have lights. So when you take someone to jail at 3 a.m., they're not as nervous as they used to be.
They're nervous for other reasons.
Well, they're going to Fort Bend County Jail, so it's not so bad. Most of them have been to Harris County Jail, where it's a whole nother ball game. Fort Bend County Jail, they got TVs, and they love it. I've never heard anybody really cry about going to Fort Bend County too much. Not anybody that's an experienced customer. Yeah. New first timers, they don't know. They think it's the worst thing ever. But experienced customers, where am I going? Fort Bend County? Oh, okay, that's cool.
They're happy.
That's not a problem.
I'll go with you.
Yeah, they're like, okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Like,
I'm gonna watch the Texans game tomorrow. I've had them say that. I'll watch the game tomorrow because they know they're gonna have a TV to watch. It's crazy.
Oh.
It won't be time wasted.
Can we change that? Can we put some Can we take the TVs away from those guys?
That's the thought.
Can we stop turning that place into the Hilton?
That's what I used to call it.
That's a tough one because I'm like, man, if you're in jail, should you be able to watch TV?
Hell no. Make those guys.
Like this is me. So this is working out. I'm like, okay, well, what are you in jail for?
I don't care. You're in jail. This does not need to be a pleasant experience. Why are we making it a pleasant experience?
I've never been arrested or I didn't fucking do this. So I don't know. So I'm coming from a totally ignorant deal. This is me. I'm like, just give the dude a tablet, man. Let him watch a fucking Netflix or something.
How soft are you? Give him a tablet. He just committed a crime. You're rewarding him? Heck no. I'm the opposite. When I started in Harris County. Let me tell you. Some of the things I saw taking people, you got me going. Some of the stuff that I would see taking people to Harris County Jail, I don't know. I saw some stuff, but when I started working in Fort Bend County 12 years ago, and I would take people down there, and the guy started lipping off, and the guys would come around, hey sir, just calm down. I was like, calm down. What do you mean calm down? You need to do something with this guy. We don't say calm down. He needs, something else needs to occur right now. Yeah. No, it was total different ball game here in Fort Bend County.
Yeah, we'll handle them.
I still don't like it. I get irritated. I'm like, oh my God.
The counter to that is that if you treat them like less than human, then they're gonna more likely act like less than human. And so if you give them some of those basic human niceties, then maybe their behavior while incarcerated will
What about
be
a
better.
book?
Yeah, books.
All day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, it's educational.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's something that the current sheriff did institute at the county jail is, they're able to take classes. They do have the tablets so they can read on the tablets. I think they're better served if they're in there trying to improve themselves before they get out instead of just waiting on the gate to open. So
that is one thing coming from the libertarian side of things. Because I'm all over the place. I mean, I'm Attila the Hun on some, and I'm, hyper free on the other side. I'm all over the place. But it's like this. This was one of my deals. I had a acquaintance. I'm not even gonna say friend. An acquaintance that wound up getting arrested for something he wound up not doing, and that got proved later. And he was in jail for about 3 months. Was the process to get him out after the whole deal. And this was in another state that he was in. And then so while he was in, because he was a FedEx military guy, he got raped in prison. And I'm like, this was me then. And still now today, I'm like, dude was in jail on bullshit and got raped. And I'm like, this was me then. That should be equated into a sentence. If you're going to get sentenced for years, You have to say, okay, so if he's there for a year, he's probably going to be raped 3 or 4 times at least.
How do you quantify that? Like,
Well,
how
right,
much would
but I'm
that
saying
shave
it's like-
off the sentence?
Right? You
So,
know what I'm saying? Like, okay,
all right. So, Billy, you're going in for 6 months. You can expect to be sexually assaulted at least 3 or 4 times. So we'll shave off 2 months.
You know, and that was kind
That's
of my
2 minutes of your freedom.
Right. So then I'm like, and to tie that in, that was just the backfill story. It's not really a solution to that. You
Yeah.
can't have 6,000 guards go broke, right? It's so silly. So it's going to happen. But then I'm like, okay, what can we do to not treat a good number of the population that's in prison or in jail more like humans, to make them give it the best shot possible they can be totally normal when they come out?
You know,
That's hard. I don't know the answer to it. I don't. Yeah.
I think it should be an objective. You know, how you refine it and how you get there will take years and a lot of science and research. But
Yeah.
I think there's some benefit to, because I mean, in my opinion, my experience, I don't know about y'all if y'all agree, but a lot of times the people that we're dealing with in the criminal justice system have some sort of mental defect. You know,
Yes.
whether it's bipolar disorder, depression or something. I mean, they got something going on.
Yeah.
And, you know, if we start treating it, you know, as a society and start dealing with it, maybe we'll have fewer people in jail. And so if we have these people in jail and we know that they have a bipolar diagnosis and we start treating it, maybe when they get out, they'll continue their treatment and stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is, I think, I think you're right. I think there is a mental health issue when it comes to who we're dealing with. And it obviously goes back to getting rid of sanitariums back in the 80s. And, you know, we had a place to put people with mental health issues. A lot of our homeless population,
Right.
Yeah.
majority of it
Same
is
thing.
mental health issues. I think a lot of our violent offenders, there's some mental health issues involved. But how do you treat it? Like, trying to treat someone with bipolar disorder.
Right.
Like,
You don't. It's a
shrinks, they
lifelong
can't.
deal.
They
Yeah,
have
just-
no idea how to treat. They just guess. They just guess. So I don't even know how you treat it. And you know, if you got a violent offender, you got a violent offender. I think it almost comes back to, well, there's lots of reasons people offend.
Yeah.
There's lots of reasons people commit crimes, but the people who aren't committing crimes, they don't have to live around those people. So we still have to do something. You know, we have to be. There needs to be compassion in our justice system, I think, but it has to be weighed with the rights of those who are living society properly and doing everything, being positive contributors and trying to raise their kids.
Because I don't ever sleep. So this goes into my non-sleep thought. I don't know how to fund this, okay? So we'll call California because they know how to fund everything. And I
Oh
don't know how
yeah,
to
because
fund
their
it.
budget's so
Yeah.
their state's just so above water
So,
right
well,
now.
yeah, we'll try it there first. But why not take something like this, violent or not, and then you create enclosed communities, right? So
Yeah, they're
this-
called prisons.
Well, no, but in enclosed, right? So they've
I'm
they've
just kidding.
served their time, they've done all these things, but it's nice. So they can work. They have an office. They have a little grocery mart inside there. All of these things are in this confined community. Super low security prison that's really more like a community than it is anything
I don't
else.
think it works. I think you're dealing with people who are broken, fundamentally broken.
Yeah, but they got group sessions and therapy. All of that's built into the whole
know,
structure of it. No,
I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know either. I just brainstorm.
The benefit I see from it too is that people know when they hit that border that, look, you know, on the other side of this wall it may be danger.
Yeah.
You know, and so you can still separate them from society, but still in a way save costs and try to save the damage that's done to the greater society.
Yeah.
Well, so if you look at violent crime versus nonviolent crime, right? Why are we putting people in prison for nonviolent crime? Unless it's something, and you got to define violence, right? If you defraud somebody of their life savings, and to me that's a form of violence. You committed violence on that person.
Right.
You took away their life savings,
Right.
right? That's a horrible thing to do to somebody, or you defraud them of. So, you know, obviously when I say violence, you know, I'm talking about, say, possession of marijuana or whatever. Name the nonviolent
Right.
crime.
Yeah.
You know, why are we putting those people in prisons? Why are we putting those people in jails? I've never really understood why we do that.
We don't know what else to do with them is why. I think. I don't know. And I'm
Well, I kind of
jumping
like
into
what
that.
Brian was talking about was the what'd you call it? With the pretrial.
With the pretrial intervention.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
pretrial intervention style. I think that would be super effective.
Yeah.
I think it would be super effective. Plus, one, it takes the burden off the state
Yes.
and off the county having to house and feed them.
Yeah.
And two, it gives them, they're not dealing with that situation, and maybe they're having given them some guidance on how to straighten themselves out a little bit.
Because those programs, they have to pay to participate in them, so they you know, they'll self-fund it, and that the people who sign up for pretrial diversion, they pay their supervision fees, they pay program fees. So that's, you know, compared to housing them in a county jail where you have them to pay for their meals and their security. So
and their TV.
Yeah, and their TV. And their tablets.
And their tablets.
They're great benefits. And I think, you know, what I like to say is that when we know better, we should do better. You know, we've been through this a long time, and we've kind of picked up on it. Hey, we, just like you were saying, is that, look, maybe we don't need to put these people in jail. Maybe there's an alternative, and I think we know that now. So we just need to do it. I mean, it's on the books.
Yeah.
You know, personal bonds have been on the books as long as I can remember. So we just haven't used them. So we just have to behave smarter because we are smarter.
Yeah.
So.
And I would hope to see in the system where, like in those types of deals, is that I like the idea of people paying for the supervisory of themselves. I think that's important because then they have more skin in the game, which they'll take it a little more seriously and all those things. I'm going to take the liberal angle on this because we got a bunch, you know.
A few.
Yeah. See, got to take a deep breath on that one. But I think it's important to take into consideration people who may not be able to do that. They may not be able to raise the money for that. They're making $16, $17 an hour. You're like, oh, that's a lot of money. Really, when you break that out over 40 hours a week and tax it and go home, it's not that much money. You know, so try to find an apartment or something. Try to live in Sugar Land or Missouri City or something like that on $15, $16 an hour. After taxes, it's tough. So then you're like, okay, well, now I've got a few $100s. I don't know how much it is. A few extra $100 a month or $100, whatever. Then now I've got to do that. And I'm like, oh, crap. I don't have it. So are there things in place to kind of help take care of those people? Or?
Yeah, usually, you know, you take that into account. I mean, you do an indigency assessment and see if they can afford it. If you determine that they cannot afford it, you can waive some of the fines. You can substitute some of the fees for more community service hours. So you don't have a lot of money, but you have more time, so you'll do more hours and we'll waive your fees. I mean, this is something that they do every day right now.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be anything new, but you're right. I mean, you know, you do have poor people, and they can't, you know, if it came down to paying a supervision fee, they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, they have kids, they have other liabilities, and their earning potential is not such that they could truly accomplish it. And so we do have to make those determinations. Now, unfortunately, in the system that we have now that we're trying to correct, sometimes the decision is wrong. But, you know, one of the defenses to failure to pay fines and fees is inability to pay. Yeah. And so we go through these hearings to determine it after the fact, when a lot of times we should have done it before the fact.
Save a boatload of tax dollars to,
Yeah.
So. I mean, obviously, Do you guys deal at all, this is just topics that are all hot topics, I don't know if your offices would deal with this, but do any of the immigration things go through your office?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of the key issues that you have to deal with, because a lot of times undocumented people come through, or people who are just not citizens, and they get charged with what we consider in the federal system aggravated felonies, which includes deferred. If the punishment range is more than a year, you can get deported. You can get removed from the country. So you're talking about from Class A's on up that could cause deportation. And so there's some U.S. Supreme Court decisions, and including the Padilla case, that says that you have to inform them of the collateral consequences that pleading guilty to this will have, and if they not advise of that, then the conviction can be reversed. So you deal with it every day with non-citizens, and how you deal with it really is the issue right now. Should some of these people receive a diversion because of the fact that they have an immigration issue, or is this more reason why you should proceed with the case to remove them from the country because they're bad actors? So I mean, you're constantly trying to balance that. Obviously, if you're undocumented and you're pulling guns on people, maybe we should expedite the removal. But
probably a good idea.
If you're a child who was, a DACA potential recipient, and your parents brought you over here, and you went through our education system, and you pick up a DWI or a Class A assault, and now you might get removed from the country after you've been here your whole life. Those are circumstances we need to look at and say maybe we don't want them to get deported. But yeah, for the high level, high risk offenders, I don't think at this point there's any reason to give them any leniency because of their immigration status.
How much does the DA's office work with ICE? Do they work with ICE at all?
Well, what we've seen, I don't know if there's any direct collaboration, but I've seen ICE officers in the hallway waiting on people to show up for court.
Well, we deal with ICE. I get phone calls. Hey, your guy picked up so and so. Can I get? We need to get his information. It's like, okay, no problem. We always cooperate.
Yeah.
I was just curious if there's discussions with them. Well, if they're convicted of this, okay, and then y'all really look at it like a situation like you're talking about. Some guy who was brought over here when he was 8 years old. Yeah. He's 23 now. He just got a DWI conviction, or he's getting charged with DWI, and it could be enough for ICE to. I think right now they're being pretty aggressive with it just seems to me they're being much more aggressive about deporting people. But I don't know if that's fact. Just I know there's more phone calls lately.
Yeah.
I just was wondering if y'all work with them in any form or fashion on with that.
Yeah, you'll get phone calls there, and and this is with the more serious offenders. I can recall handling one case where a guy actually had graduated from with an engineering degree from Texas A&M University, and got high, and local police department found him in the ditch, with the pills on him, and man, while his case was pending, ICE went to on campus and picked him up. He hadn't even been convicted yet, and so there was some interaction in that instance with the district attorney's office and ICE trying to prevent that, and so it worked out well for him in the end. But that's one of the extreme cases where it was like, hey, he hadn't even pled yet.
I think that's a good example. I think that's a great example. A lot of people have the perception that law enforcement, district attorney's offices, ICE, because they're always in the news now, that they're like these heartless people who don't care what happens to somebody when they're arrested, or don't care about the consequences that happen to their life. When it's not true at all. It's very much look at the totality of the circumstances that occurred, and how is justice best served in this situation, which includes the person who offended, right? And I think a lot of people don't really see that. It's good to hear that. I hope people hear that. Like, say, hey, these guys aren't just, let's just rake them up, throw them in, get them into the machine.
You can attest to this. Because a big concern, you hear this a lot, is that people who are here that aren't citizens or have lapsed, whatever, just undocumented, just put that whole group of things. You always hear a lot that they are afraid to come forward when they're wronged. Mm-hmm. They're afraid to do this. And I'm going to say this, and you can confirm it or deny it or whatever, but I cannot think of any case at any level, and I know people in DEA, I know people at the federal level, at state levels, and all the way through. I've never heard of anyone being brought in or deported by reporting another crime or reporting a crime against them. Even if it's not against them, but reporting a crime. Nobody cares. Like, it's just one of those things that and they've gone and they've testified and they've done all these things. So they've been in court and they've done this stuff. Nobody ever talks to them about deportation.
Right.
If anything, they wind up meeting people to help their process.
Right.
And that's my experience. I don't know, and I know that they're afraid and I get that kind of stuff, but I mean, speaking to them.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, that your immigration status should not affect whether or not you should receive protection.
Right.
If you're here illegally and you get robbed, the robber should be prosecuted.
Right.
We should make an exception. Well, you wasn't a citizen, so we,
That's silly.
Yeah.
It's not how we work here.
Yeah. So, I get that. And it's something that we as a developing society have to learn to appreciate. And, just like you were saying, that there's another side to it. When, a lot of people don't understand you're dealing with the victim's family,
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing with the victim, and you're dealing with the defendant and the defendant's family, and there's trauma on all those levels.
Oh yeah.
And one of the issues that I have right now with immigrants is that you have to have a social security card to get a driver's license.
Right.
And you have all these unidentified people, whereas we could have an address and a picture for each one of them if they were allowed to get the driver's license. So to me, that's one of these laws to me that doesn't make sense. Yeah. I'd rather know where you live and have a picture of you and get you to show up at DPS every so often.
I kind of get it. Like, I know why they're afraid, because now they're tracked. So then they're like, well, if you know where I am all the time, then you can pick me up anytime you want. Yep. So it's almost like...
But I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue on that one is there's that conversation of, should we allow people who are here illegally to get obtain driver's licenses?
Right.
Because some states still do, right?
Yeah, some do.
So what a lot of illegals do is they go to those states, get a driver's license, and come back. Yeah. But should we allow that, or should we say, no, you violated the law by entering the country illegally? We're not going to. You're not eligible to get a driver's license. But then I see your point as well, because what do we get on the street? We get consular cards, which sometimes has the correct address, most of the time doesn't. Right. We get those flea market cards, which obviously are not good. No. So it does create an issue for us on the street level dealing with illegal immigrants. It definitely does. And now I will say it makes it very difficult. So if you're trying to just put someone in the system, they're not, if you have an illegal immigrant, you have someone with so many different names and so many different versions of their date of birth, and like, say, illegal immigrants from Mexico, for instance, have a lot of names. Like, they'll have 5, 6, 7 names. Yeah. You don't know what order you're supposed to put it in, and if they're doing stuff they're not supposed to be doing, they ain't going to help you with that either. No. So, you know what I mean? They're not going, no, it's, the other name first is last, the last is first. No. So, they're definitely, I used to be kind of not for that, but now I see some advantages to maybe not a driver's license, but some form of official identification that they can receive, because I don't know. There's a separation between what the state's doing and what the federal government's doing. Yeah. Not saying we approve of it, but saying, hey, we got to deal with the fact that there are people who are undocumented living in our country, so we need some way to deal with the people who are living here, and we can't act like they're not here, and we got to find a way to best deal with it. So I do see some positives to that.
That is it. And this is me, so I'm going to make it super simple from my perspective. Lock down the freaking border. I don't care how much money it costs to lock it down.
Build the wall.
And if you're here, congratulations. Yeah, whatever it is.
You don't have to respond to that. Build the wall.
But my whole is like, lock the guy. Like, you employ our military. We've got so many thousands of military that are sitting scratching their ass at all these bases all over CONUS. Just here, we don't have to ship them in. They're on the continental. Lock the fucking border down, and then if you're here and you're illegal, congratulations. Get your ass to the office in the next 180 days.
You made it.
Yeah,
you made it. Here's your freaking temporary Social Security card. Get your drivers. Get your shit. Start paying your taxes. Peace. Like, it's done. Because I think you hit it on the head. We're pretending like they're not here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Because we know from traffic court that they didn't
Every
stop
day.
driving.
No, they didn't stop driving.
No.
Just look outside here for 10 minutes.
I can tell you from traffic, every third to fourth stop, I would say at least 25% of our stops, 20 to 25%, is an undocumented person, is an illegal alien.
Yeah.
Is here. And, it is what it is. But yeah, we can't pretend like they're not here.
Yeah.
We need to, as a state, we need to figure it out. Like, the federal government's still fumbling and tumbling, and everybody's so scared of the issue one way or another, and what to do with it.
This is Texas.
We need to deal with
figure some shit.
We need to figure it out, and how we can deal with it while they live here. We got to figure it out. We can't just collect people and toss them back. It doesn't work like that. You know?
So pretend like they're not there.
They're ghosts.
My preference is to have an address, a picture, and a fingerprint.
Yeah.
Thank
all
you.
of them. Let me know who they are, so I can identify them when something goes wrong.
And I'm telling you, they would run out and get it.
Yeah.
Most people here illegally would run out and get it. They get it anyway with the consular card from the Mexican consular cards. But those, we have no way of tracking it.
Yeah.
Right.
But when we could track, that would be great, because we could run it, find out who they are.
See, let them start getting some credit cards and man, drive this economy.
Now you're trying to just destroy their whole life. Give them credit
Well,
cards.
I'm just give them some student loans.
We've destroyed all. We've destroyed everybody else's life with credit cards. Why are we gonna?
They don't get a pass on that, damn. You're going to be an American, you get a credit card.
You get credit card debt just like the rest of us.
That's right, and some student loan. Even if you go to school, we're going to give you some student loan. It's all good.
You get to be in debt for the next 20 years, too.
Kidding. Okay, so, Brian, we got to start wrapping up because I know, we've taken enough of your time with all these things.
I'm enjoying it, though.
Yeah, no, it's good. So, some of we kind of hit on your opponent a little bit. I think you're in a good position.
I think so because, it's like I said, his opponent is old and out of touch. He's basically Jeff Sessions. Okay. He's basically running against Jeff Sessions, and we all know what a disaster.
Just keep that up,
We all know what a disaster Jeff Sessions has been. So I'm just saying, get the young, fresh ideas, ready to get out there and improve the system.
Appropriately experienced. Okay, I'm not going to say he wasn't.
Has experience at all levels, from the DA side to the criminal defense side to traffic court to main court. Sorry.
You know what I tell people? I mean, I enjoy prosecution. It's the job that I look forward to doing. Having experience as a criminal defense attorney, you know what we do. We look for the flaws in the state's cases. So I know what the flaws are at the district attorney's office. Put me in charge and I can shore it up. I can make it stronger.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this, the job like I do at Meadows Place, it's not for the money because it doesn't pay a lot of money. I do it because I enjoy doing it. And so, if that means something to people, then I'm the person they should vote for. I mean, if you want somebody in that position who's going to do what's right or at least make a zealous effort to do what's right in every single situation that has a passion for the job, then I'm the person for the job.
Yeah. And that's clear.
100%.
And my Democrat friends love me for having you on.
Oh, really?
And my conservative friends have blasted the shit out of me on the social
here's the thing. We've talked about this before.
To be honest,
it's not about.
Right.
It's
all kinds.
For us. We've talked. It's not like about conservative versus Democrat.
No,
I think we're libertarian, but we definitely lean to the right.
Yeah.
But it's about the right person and the right people in the right positions. It's not about you got a D by your name. No, I can't vote for you. I care less about that. What kind of person are you? What are you gonna do for us?
But see, Brian, here's the cool part about what I just said. Is I have friends on both sides.
Yeah. I know. I love
See,
that.
so that's the.
I do too. Brett, one of the biggest Republicans that you ever want to meet, and he's my best friend.
Yeah. So, Brett's a good dude. Brett's a good dude. Yeah. So,
he's
in Israel right now, huh?
He just got back.
He just got back? I hope he's watching.
Yeah, he should.
What's up, Judge?
Yeah, I told
he
him
gets
I
mad
was
when I
coming,
call him
so,
Judge.
Yeah, you better be watching.
He gets mad when I call him Judge. He says, just call me Brett. I can't. I'm so used to being in those robes. It just, I can't think of you any other way.
Can I just address one thing?
Yeah, please.
It's something that that comes up a lot, and people think if you're a Democrat and you're a district attorney, you must be wimpy. And I'm like, that's not the case. I don't think that my values are any different than any conservative's values. I mean, I go to church, I believe in the Second Amendment. I'm not one of these people that want to take people's guns away. And I just think that it's the unfair characterization or categorization of people because of their party affiliation. I think when you get to know me, you'll find that I'm not much different than you are.
Right.
If I were wimpy or if I was going to be trying to let people out of jail, that's a different job. I wouldn't be running for district attorney. There are jobs available to do that. And so I try to encourage people, hey, figure me out. Don't figure out what my party affiliation is, and that I think what you'll see is that there's not that much difference.
Mm-hmm. And I'll agree with that. And I'll say that a large portion of politicians aren't very different between the Democrat side and the Republican side and independents and libertarians. Mm-hmm. They're really close. There's minor foundational things that are different. It's just what we hear and see are those few that just scream and yell and holler and need to get voted out real quick.
Yeah.
Right there.
And I think you see those extreme. What we see on, say, television, what we're exposed to through media, it's extreme sides. Because that's what, this is not interesting to mainstream media. Democrats, Republicans, and conservative libertarians agreeing on a whole bunch of stuff. They want, that doesn't sell as, Antifa and whatever the new term for fascist right stuff is now. That doesn't sell like that, right? But I think truly, most of the country, most people are pretty close. Just
Yeah.
small differences in things. And then you have your uninformed population, which is a lot of people too.
Yeah.
And they kind of listen to the mainstream media and go, well, if there's a Democrat, that means they believe this list. And if you're a Republican, you believe this list. And that's all they see.
I'll tell you this, O'Brien. From being on here, I promise you that the margin of difference that was not so successful last time would be successful this time.
This will be the difference.
The truth is, I don't think you have to worry about it.
Yeah. But we are the difference.
I'll say
when
it.
you win, you can give us
Oh
credit.
yeah, so if you win by
can
2,000
give us
votes this
credit.
time, I'm taking all
We're the
the
difference.
credit.
Those were our
Oh,
listeners in
yeah.
Fort Bend County that totally.
Yeah.
Screw all. I don't care if it's 1 or 10 million.
I'm taking
votes
total
before
credit.
That, if it's 2,000 you win by or less, dude, it's mine.
I'm telling
got
everybody.
it.
We're taking credit.
All
I'm
of
gonna
it.
tell everybody. Oh well, it's because he came on the podcast,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna
Fair.
like totally advertise it. If you want to win political office or you want to win that shiny trophy, you can come on the podcast.
Come see me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll make the difference.
I know.
It'll be our shining
See?
example.
And I'll be, well, it looks like I'd be 2 for 2 then.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. I
Yeah.
like the odds.
Yeah.
So we're doing good.
winners.
And I'm gonna be on.
We
I
back
gotta,
winners.
right here at the very end, and then I can close with this: is that the Libertarian Party people that I wanted to have on?
Yeah.
Where are they?
It's true.
You
People get scared.
Did you see him when you were coming in?
I did not.
Because I didn't see him when we were coming in.
Yeah, I don't know why everybody
I'm
gets
missing.
so scared.
Hold on, mate. No. No, I don't see
Jason,
him.
honestly, what I think it is just they're afraid you're gonna flex on them.
Yeah,
I'm gonna.
I'm gonna hold
Now I
on.
might choke the crap out of him. You know.
That's something that you taught me.
Yeah, I don't know. That's right. We'll do some choking.
All right, I'm about to click it here.
All right.
I was prepping it because see, I got that delay. I gotta let it run, so nobody can see anything now,
Okay.
but they can still hear
They
it.
just hear voices.
Yeah, these your voices.
Those
This is your
undocumented
conscience
voices.
speaking.
Vote for Brian Middleton.
Go vote for Brian Middleton.
That's awesome.
Keep track because if it hits over 2,000, stop voting for Brian Middleton.